instance, this person that I went to school, his name was Todd, nice guy. And his dad's friend got him a job as an executive at Macy's. Now we're talking 1979. He came out of college in 1979. Think about the year. He started making $40,000 a year. That was a good paying job for somebody right out of college, right then. And he had a career. Okay. He wasn't handed something on a silver platter. He was just given a referral for a friend. So it's not, so I call it perpetuating generational wealth. Mm-hmm. And if we took our clients and we can show you a strategy that you can, if you're going to give money to your son, your daughter, grandchildren, you can set them up that they have a foundation, a financial foundation that can be huge. And you can even put some restrictions on there to make sure that it's occurring in a good way, that it's occurring in a good way. So again, these are things that we can do to help your family, folks, because you don't want it to, you don't want it to go to Uncle Sam. I mean, the reason I bought a Tesla, Patty, is I would rather get the tax benefit than to give it to my Uncle Sam.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? He has a lousy track record of spending my money.
I mean, because I don't think any American wants our national debt to be what it is. And
you mean $35 trillion?
Exactly. And if we could direct how our money was going to be used,
right,
to pay that debt down and not reaccumulate it, then I think you would see a lot of people, more willing to see their hard-earned dollars go towards something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
But to see our hard-earned money go to the organization
testing 1, 2, 3
that is taken away our liberties and our rights that we have as Americans.
No, I cannot.
And then growing our national debt and looking as if they are befriending.
I can hear you over the phone.
Countries that are a direct opposition of what
now can you hear me?
Yeah.
It just makes
now, okay, great. Thank you.
We
can hang up now.
It's true.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm showing the U.S.
All right, so everything's okay now. Did Joe call you?
Yeah, he did. The music, I don't know what the problem with the music is. I'm trying it on 3 different places and I can't get it to play.
And it's called Prosperity Plan ABC.
Oh, well.
You would like
tell him to figure it out during the week.
At 1-800.
Well, it should be working, yeah, because we put it in there 2 different ways.
MyMoneyIsSafe.com.
I don't know, Doc. It's just me, I guess. Let me play something here.
Turn off the background. Turn off the 2 crazy people.
Copy of the book right here. And if you're looking at the book, folks, you see.
You don't hear anything, do you?
No.
I can only hear you
can just hear that now, man.
The salesman show.
Yeah.
Now I don't hear it.
No, okay. All right. Well, then we're going to have to get Joe in here on that one.
Yeah, get Joe, and you might need some help from the big engineer himself.
Yes, we'll get Robert on it too.
Put Robert on the case.
So the phone guy last week, I saw it ringing after we did the contest. And nobody got the right answer, but we were talking, so there's not much I could do about him.
Oh, so the phone, you did answer the phone. There were people getting through.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought maybe there was something wrong since we didn't have a winner.
Oh, the winner from 2 weeks ago, I got his name. If we want to, I'll send it to you again, but I already sent it to you once, and that's all I got. So I'm not sure why he didn't get his mugs. I don't know if you didn't send them out yet.
I didn't send them. I finally sent them yesterday. So I'm just running behind. I've got a bunch of computers at the office that are down I've been working on, and then the air conditioning went out in my part of the building, and one thing after another. Migraine headaches this week. Go figure.
Yeah, I got a leaky ceiling now, so I'm dealing with that at home. So it's always something.
Sometimes you just get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know.
And priorities are important.
Is what?
Prioritizing is important.
That's right.
So he could wait a week for his mugs.
His mugs. That's right.
All right. So Elon's now got 20% of the stock of Tesla, huh?
Yeah. What do you get? 56 million, something like that, I guess.
48.
38. Oh, okay.
48.
Well, what else are we going to talk about?
Let's see. Ukraine, a little bit about supplements, dietary supplements. I've got a whole list of things I can talk about. New Chinese megaport in South America. Elon blast Apple. Gazans are upset at Hamas and Israel over the ceasefire talks. FAA is investigating Boeing 737 MAX Dutch roll for incident. Farewell to Jerry West. He died. Did you know that?
Yeah, very sad. But he had a good career, man. I'll tell you, he made a lot of money doing that.
Yeah. He apparently was a pretty severely abused kid.
All right, we're going into the news here. We'll catch you after the weather, sir.
All right, we got plenty to talk about. So you pick a topic. I'm probably ready.
Okay. Talk to you a bit.
Bye.
This is not your grandfather's, even your father's Democrat Party. It's lunatics, it's radicals, it's people who hate America, and we must save the nation from them. How? Get engaged.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Weeknights at 9, right before Kevin Jackson at midnight on AM 860, The Answer and TheAnswerTampa.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
Okay, on today's show, we're talking about vitamin D, sometimes referred to as the sunshine vitamin, but folks, here's the problem. Many of us aren't getting enough sunshine lately between slathering on those powerful sunscreens and spending more time indoors, and what it really comes down to is this vitamin D deficiency that's out there is causing an avalanche of health problems for 70% of our population, ranging from pain, loss of balance, muscle weakness, depression, increased blood pressure, arthritis, memory loss, and even a compromised immune system. All right, folks, well, here is your final opportunity. If you want to try Dr. Pincus's vitamin D3 formula, there's a special toll-free number for you to call. It's 1-800-476-5630. And remember, you have absolutely nothing to lose here because Dr. Pincus's vitamin D3 formula is guaranteed to be safe and effective or your money back.
WGUL and W229DJ Dunedin. Powered by Prosperity Group. Come grow with us and reach your retirement goals.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Donald Trump is blaming illegal immigrants for stealing jobs and government resources as he courts separate groups of black voters and hardcore conservatives in battleground Michigan. Former president hosted a Saturday roundtable discussion at an African-American church in Detroit and delivered an evening address. At Turning Point Action, Mr. Trump blasted illegals for, quote, inflicting tremendous harm on our black population and our Hispanic population. Former Senator Jim Talent, the Missouri Republican, says the only way to deter China from trying to seize Taiwan someday is to demonstrate the ability to use superior force.
What matters really about him is power. That's what's going to convince him that we can deter or that we will fight, is if we have the forces to do it with. And right now we're outgunned, outmanned, and outranged inside the First Island chain, and we have been for 10 years.
Senator Talent interviewed on the Salem Radio Network. Well, it's not what British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak wants to hear.
The country's economy failed to grow in April. It's a blow to Mr. Sunak, who has made the return of growth a central pillar of the Conservative Party's election campaign. The UK's Office for National Statistics says wet weather dampened consumer spending and construction during the month. The flat monthly reading came after a 0.6% increase during the first quarter of the year.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Chinese Premier Li Kang's visit to Australia has focused on positive aspects of the bilateral relationship, including shared giant pandas and a rebounding wine trade, after he urged both countries to shelve their differences. China's most powerful leader, after Xi Jinping, arrived late yesterday in Adelaide, the capital of South Australia State. This is SRN News.
Retirement outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by, ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800-8000.
Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com. Just when you thought your smartphone couldn't get any smarter, now you can add the AM860 app with local news, national headlines, and commentary. The answer is smart. Adding the AM860 app to your smartphone is genius. Get it now at the Apple App Store and Google Play.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine today with a thunderstorm this afternoon and a high of 92. Watching for a potential tropical system this week. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 77, then sun through high clouds tomorrow with a high of 92. Hot day on Tuesday with sunshine and areas of high clouds and a high of 95. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
And go, Doc.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD. I got Ken by my side, and we are doing a show. We are on 860 AM, 93.7 FM, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and I don't know what else, Ken.
We're everywhere.
I lose it. I forget where I'm at.
Too many social media sites these days to worry about, you know.
Yeah.
Used to be just Facebook or MySpace.
Have you ever gotten somewhere and said, "Where am I?"
You know, unfortunately, I have.
So
I was much younger back then.
Yeah. I took this anti-seizure medication years ago for migraines. It's supposed to help prevent migraines. And one of the side effects is confusion and loss of time and space. And I had to call a friend. I was 3 blocks away from home. I didn't know how to get home. I had to call somebody to help me.
Oh, my.
So I gave that up. I'll deal with the migraines.
Yeah, it's better than getting lost.
Oh, yeah. I almost hit somebody, and I apologized to the guy. I said, I'm the medication I've just started. And he said, "Well, get off of it, Doc." I said, "You're right." And I did. So
headaches are no fun either, though. So.
No, they're not. But we're doing a little bit better with all the new medications that I take. Although I did have a lot of them this week. I don't know why. I guess I was doing a lot of physical labor. Seems the biggest trigger now, the researchers have found is physical labor, exercise, where you use a lot of muscles, especially your neck and head and facial muscles. So there you go.
So if you get migraines, stop exercising.
Well, or figure out exercises where you can do lower body, but not upper body. That's where you get into trouble, because a lot of these are triggered by trigeminal neuralgia and occipital neuralgia, and those are the two nerves roots that come out into the scalp. And then when the scalp has, and the neck and the scalp, and then when you have tension, the muscle pinches those nerves.
Okay. Well, if you want to know more, call the doc. What's the number at the office there?
727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. We are your one-stop body shop.
And you're on Facebook right now. If anybody wants to tune in, go to.
All right. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, something else. Twitter.
Dr. Bill, your Radio MD is what you're searching for. So on Facebook.
Yeah, that's me. So we got a lot of big news this week. Tesla shareholders approved a $48 billion payout for Elon Musk. Now, this is not cash. This is almost all stock. And one of the reasons he wanted this was so that he could go from 13% to 20% stockholder of Tesla so he could maintain control over it. And so I think he had almost 75% of the stockholders vote for it. So this is very popular among the stockholders. My wife voted 5 times, I do believe. She's in love with Elon. I think she wants to have his baby. I said, honey, it's too late. It's too late. That ain't gonna work.
Well, they obviously trust him to run the company. So
yeah, they do. And he's created a lot of wealth for a lot of people. He's changed the auto industry. He's changed the space industry. And now he claims he's going to change the robotic industry. And he claims he's going to have billions and billions of robots by 2050 or something like that. But I don't know if that's really going to come to pass. However, he has made some outrageous claims in the past and been able to meet them. Who knows?
Hey, I'm impressed with the guy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just his space work is amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And, you know, everybody said that when he bought Twitch or X or whatever it's called now. X, that's it, X. Yeah, we're on X too, by the way.
Of course, everybody is.
That he would crash because of that purchase, which was in the, 40, 50 billion range. And actually, it's come back. Everybody's using it now, and I'm sure he's making money off of the thing. So you never know. I mean, you never know.
That's right. I mean, the guy, you can't argue with success. So give him the best.
No, you can't. And I'm sure they said the same thing about Henry Ford early on, is that you can't do it. And he said, watch me.
Electric cars, though, I don't know where they're going to, how long they're going to stay. We got a bunch of Chinese cars coming over here, I guess now are going to be electrical powered and cheap. So we're probably going to hit some tariffs on those.
Well, if Trump gets in, there'll certainly be big tariffs. He'll push that through. That's one of the things that he's promised, is that he's going to protect our domestic auto industry. And I guess you can call Elon part of the domestic auto industry, since he's domiciled here, and he has a lot of factories here, as well as in China and Mexico and Indonesia and around the world, Singapore. But he's still domiciled here. I think there's still a Delaware corporation, although he's moving it to Texas.
Well, you know, the Chinese are going to have to deal with 100% tariff, I think, on their electric cars.
Oh,
even if Biden's in there, I think he's planning to do that as well, because they can't come in and undercut the market here.
And even at 100%, their cars will still be relatively cheap, but they'll also be cheaper built, and meeting our standards is going to add cost to that, because we don't let just any car in. You have to meet certain road standards and safety standards and emission standards and all that sort of thing. And they'll toughen up the rules now. That might push to make some stronger legislation about the disposal of batteries.
Yeah. Well, if all these Chinese cars start lighting on fire on the roadways, that'll take care of it. The problem will take care of itself.
I tell you what, I'd buy one just for running around the neighborhood. Some of those are pretty impressive little cars, but now they just don't have as much safety features as ours do, and disposal and all that'll be a big problem for them. So moving on, Ken.
Yes, sir. What do you want to talk about today?
Do you remember the bump stock? Remember the guy out in Las Vegas that shot up with 60, 70 people? I can't remember how many he killed a few years back. Do you remember?
Right, at the concert there, yeah.
Yeah, the mass murder. He was up on the 32nd floor or whatever. And so the government outlawed bump stocks. And I said back then, I said, this is stupid because the bump stock's actually not as good as just a semi-automatic rifle that you're able to easily re-aim with each shot. And with the bump stock, you get a kick there, so you can't go that fast. I mean, if you're trying to use it like a machine gun, close quarters, that's different. But, well, guess what? Guess who agrees with Dr. Bill?
Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court, they threw it out. They said that it's unconstitutional. You cannot ban bump stocks. So I went out and bought 3. Even though I only have 1 rifle.
When
on each arm.
When are they going to learn that anything you put in front of the Supreme Court dealing with a weapon is going to be thrown out?
Oh, even more importantly, Ken, is when are they going to learn to listen to me?
Well, that's for sure.
Because I have said over and over again, that won't pass muster. That won't go through the Supreme Court. Now, getting it to the court, of course, that takes time. And this took, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we haven't had a lot of need for bump stocks, although with the election coming up and the Democrats cheating, I was thinking about hanging out at the ballot box down in Gulfport and shoot any SOB.
No.
So I'm coming up there with an arm load.
No,
with an arm load.
You can't go shooting voters.
No, you can't shoot them. It's illegal.
That's right.
They outlawed slavery, indentured servitude, killing voters you don't like. What
Gave the women to vote. I mean, what's next?
What is next? It's just unbelievable. So the Ukrainian thing is getting me all upset because one of the guys at the lunch table, he's always giving me a hard time. And he says, why are we spending our children's future on defending Ukraine? And I said, Nick, how much money or what percentage of our gross domestic product do you think we are spending so far on this country and helping them? I think it's about 100 billion.
And we're not sending them cash at all. We're sending them equipment,
which we are being paid for.
Right, exactly.
And so let's just break it down. So I think our budget last year was $6 trillion, and we can just round it down to 5 trillion for easy numbers. And 100 billion, you know what percentage of 5 trillion 100 billion is?
What's the percentage of that?
It is 1/100th of 1%.
All right. So we're not sacrificing anybody's future here.
That's like taking a penny and breaking it into 100 little pieces and giving somebody that much copper. Do they make them out of copper still, the pennies? I don't know.
Yeah, they do, because of Illinois, believe it or not.
Well, thank God for Illinois.
Well, it's the whole Lincoln thing. They don't want to give up Lincoln on the so the senators.
Oh, well, he was born in Kentucky anyway. So
well, yeah, we know that, but
Illinois can kiss my anatomy.
But the Illinois senators will not allow, and this they've tried this 100 times. They will not allow the penny to disappear. I don't know how to stop it, but they do.
I'm happy to hear that, and I hope that we get some more copper mines going so we can make more pennies. Does anybody use pennies anymore?
I haven't in a long, long time. So
I just throw them away. Yeah. I don't know what to do with them. And anytime
I think they actually cost more to produce than they're worth.
Oh, probably so. Yeah, probably so. Isn't Lincoln on something else? Isn't he on
He's on one of the bills? Yeah.
Yeah, he's on something, the $3 bill or something.
No, I think he's got the 5. Doesn't he have the 5? Who's on the 5?
I cannot remember.
I don't know.
At any rate, so the argument against the Ukrainian support is that it's taking away from our domestic programs. Come on, give me a break. And that we really have no business in European affairs. Well, we've been pulled into their affairs since the beginning of the establishment of the Union, of the democracy here, since the 1780s, 1790s. So we are involved, and we cannot disentangle from Europe. I mean, we're dependent upon Europe for trade, for mutual defenses, for monetary back and forth, for raw goods, for a whole bunch of things, Ken. And we also are dependent upon the Europeans for sharing their brain trust with us as we share our brain trust with them. I mean, it's not just the United States developing top secret weapons, it's the United States and Great Britain, and to a lesser extent, France and Germany. So, a lot of the technology back and forth between the intellectual community and the research community. So there's a lot that we have entangled with the Europeans. And remember, we're still predominantly 60-70% European in ethnicity. If you want to take it down to that, I don't know.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
And so we have a responsibility. Now, also, we have to remember that the Ukraine is a sister democracy. And people say, yeah, but it's corrupt. Well, come on. I mean, most of the democracies in the world are corrupt, but that doesn't mean we stop supporting them. And like India, it's starting to turn itself around and end a lot of the corruption and pushing the country into modernity and pulling it into the 21st century. The Modi, the prime minister, and his party have been able to build the infrastructure in India and stop a lot of the corruption and graft. And the people were hiding money under their pillows and not paying taxes on it. And he changed the currency. He changed the income tax laws, and now people they can't cheat like they used to. In fact, when he changed the currency, Ken, he said you have to take the old currency and exchange it for the new currency because it's not going to be any good after X date. And when they exchanged it for the new currency, guess what he did?
Taxed it.
He taxed it, baby. You go, boy.
Got you right here. I'm going to take a little bit of my own.
Yeah, you've been hiding this long enough. We'll take 20%, thank you. And that's a good thing because they need to have enough money to run their government and to enforce the laws and keep their military up. And they have the largest standing army in the world, Ken.
Yeah, well, you need taxes for that. That's right.
You got to pay for that stuff.
Not free. Freedom is not free, as they say.
No. And so even if there's some corruption in the Ukraine, I think that they're making a good move towards ending a lot of that corruption and addressing the problems that have been fundamental to the country. And of course, nobody knows more about the corruption in the Ukraine than the Bidens do. So we actually have somebody we can count on to give us some inside info.
Well, you know what? We can't let Russia walk all over Ukraine. What's your friend going to say when they start to walk over Poland next? Oh, we can't do anything. We can't mess with the Poles. We always have to let them go, I guess, because it may my great grandchildren may not have any candy.
Yeah. Well, I think Article 5 would come in of the NATO treaty, but will it come in for the Baltic states, for Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania? Will we stand up for those little countries? I mean,
yes.
Populations are what?
That's what we have to do. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's our
the whole idea.
And people say, well, we shouldn't be the world policeman. The hell we shouldn't. I mean, we have trade interest. We have intellectual interest. We have human rights interest. We have to protect the world for American-style democracy. We're the last great hope, buddy boy.
I know. We have to do that. Sorry.
And the young people don't realize this because they haven't seen and heard what you and I have, and they haven't been through the wars and the turmoils and ups and downs. I mean, this Palestinian thing, although it's a big deal, all the protests in the late 60s, we were ready to go to civil war. That's one of the reasons that Nixon said we have to end the war because we don't want to tear the country apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the protests they're having today are not really the kind of protests we saw in Vietnam era at all.
Not yet.
Size.
We were bombing stuff back then.
Well, yeah, we were. And you had hundreds of thousands on the streets in New York and places like that, shutting down Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. And I remember I bought the Blaster's Handbook from Dow, or not Dow, DuPont Chemical. And I finally got rid of it because I was afraid if the feds came in here, they'd accuse me of helping McVeigh and his gang out.
Okay.
But I didn't want that. So
he had a gang? I didn't know he had a gang.
What was it? Nichols.
Nichols, okay.
Then he had a guy in Indiana, I think, that they used his farm, and I don't know if he got any time or not.
Well, I don't know. We gotta protect Ukraine. We just have to. We don't have any choice.
No choice. We got to do it.
And we have to support Israel in this. I know a lot of people are dying, and we've seen it before. in other wars in a much greater scale, and they're not used to this.
No.
Young people, they just don't understand how much killing has taken place in wars in the past.
And they don't understand that there's going to be collateral damage. You can't blow up a bunch of terrorists when they're putting themselves in the middle of a residential district or a mosque or a hospital and expect that nobody will be injured. I mean, that's or killed. That's just not going to happen.
No, they're all cowards.
Yeah, and I think that we have to remember that in World War II, I mean, we firebombed civilians in Dresden and a number of German cities, and Tokyo and other Japanese cities. And you can say, well, this was just a terrorist activity, but you know what? It helped end the war.
Yeah, sure did.
Because you cut down on the number of workers who can go to factories and women making babies that will become new little Nazis. And so, unfortunately, and as we've said before in war, there are no innocents.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's involved. And if you don't like it, well, don't vote for Hamas. Don't let them take over your country.
Exactly. Don't put them in charge.
Don't put them in charge. And you say, well, it's God's will. Yeah, come on. I mean, I've had enough of this predetermination stuff that Islam's pushing out. It's not God's will. God gave us, if you believe in a God, free choice. Now, we may have some limitations to that. I want to lead the planet. Well, good luck. But, that ain't going to work. But, I mean, at least you have that choice. Whether, I want to have a baby. Well, good luck, Bill. And maybe in 100 or 200 years, there'll be the technology there to do it. But just because I want that doesn't mean I'm going to get it.
Right. You may want to be a woman, but you are a guy.
Yeah, and I'm not ashamed of that. I mean, guys, if you didn't have that testosterone in the world and you didn't have that aggression, we would not have made the great strides that we've made, and we would not have evolved as a species as rapidly. Can you imagine all women running the show? Oh my God. They need a little, we need temperance and they need temperance.
Let me just say for the record that if the women were running the world, I would be fine with it.
Okay. Yeah. You just want to keep your job because your boss is a woman.
Oh, no. No, it wasn't Carolyn I was thinking. It was my wife that I just wanted to.
Oh, your wife. Okay.
I
well,
think
my wife,
you should run the house and the world. So you go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, my wife runs the house and the office. And, so I'm really at a disadvantage, and now you see where some of my angst over the women taking over comes from.
I've just learned to accept it. Figure what the heck.
Acceptance is the key to all of our problems.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should have a married anonymous group.
I am Ken. I've been married for 30 years. Yes, I have an opinion.
Okay, so now we got into this dietary supplement thing at the lunch table, and I'll tell you, it's driving me nuts. You know that about half of the older population in the United States take some kind of supplements. Most of it is vitamins and minerals, which are not a big deal, but how necessary they are, I don't know. But this idea, and you hear all these ads on TV like Balance of Nature and the beet stuff and all that. And by the beet, I mean BEET, not BEAT. The beet supplements, you know what those are?
Sure, I used to eat beets all the time when Mom was cooking up.
I mean, the Russians eat beets all the time with borscht soup and all that, and I don't think they're smarter than anybody else, and their life expectancy is no better than any other big country. But at any rate, all of this plays into people's emotions, and there's no proof that any of these supplements, quote, quote, do anything other than if you're dietary deficient in vitamins and minerals or essential amino acids or essential fatty acids and that sort of thing. But there's just no proof. And these people will come on and say, well, I took Balance of Nature and I feel better, and that's why I know it works. The research shows that the people who take a lot of these supplements are usually people who are more educated, they're healthier, they lose weight, and they stay physically active. And as I've said before, over and over and over again here and in the office, you want to stay young, you want to live longer, you want to stay healthy, lose weight, and exercise 30 minutes a day. And so if you have people that are already doing that and then they take a supplement and say, well, I feel better now, Well, I mean, come on, what is it? Is it the supplement? No, it's that you're getting your butt out there and doing something and losing weight. And I can't tell you how many people tell me once they've lost weight that they feel a lot better. And we do have the Ozempic and Wegovy injections that help you lose weight. They suppress your appetite. Those are the diabetic medicines. That's the glucagon-like protein that you can inject once a week. And I think somebody's coming out with a pill so that you won't even have to inject it. Don't forget to buy that stock.
Yeah, no kidding. My goodness.
So that's my rant and rave for the healthcare situation today.
Just go eat a beet,
Yeah. Eat a peach. No, that was the album, wasn't it?
Eat a beet.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was. At any rate, that was back in the old days, so you wouldn't remember that, youngsters. So China's building a megaport.
Who? China?
In Peru.
That's not good.
That's not good. They're building a huge megaport there. And the Peruvians, have, like the Mexicans, have struggled with socialism and communism since God knows when. And they're going to have a problem, though. But what happens is the Chinese come in and say, well, we'll build this and, you can pay us back over time. But they have the little riders in there that say, well, if you don't make your payments on time, we're taking possession of it. And so they're putting these things up. And then these little countries can't pay for it because they're huge projects. And then
they say, would you like a base here in Peru instead of a payment for the
debt?
And
they say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll just take some real estate and you let us do what we want with it.
Yeah.
Or they demand cash, and when they don't get it, they take over the port and they got all the profits from the port, and they can change the rules as to who can come there and who can't. So all of a sudden, you've got Chinese warships that are pulling in to gas up and hang out. And
that's what they do everywhere. So why Peru would think they'd be any different here? I don't know.
I don't know if they think that far ahead. It's like our Democrats here. I don't know how far ahead they actually look, or for that matter, our politicians in general. Politics, a lot of it's very short term.
Oh, yeah, it's just the next election.
Yeah, and what can I get for my people to make them think I'm wonderful?
Exactly, yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, you have to have a radio show like mine if you really want to be wonderful.
and you are.
Okay, so what are we on next? What else did the Supreme Court vote on? Okay, the misoprostol, you remember that?
Yes.
So the Supreme Court has said that Texas, I think it was Texas that tried to ban it, said you cannot ban this. You cannot ban this. It's misoprostone now, but we've had that drug around for decades. It's called misoprostol. And before all this came into the public eye, we actually, I mean, I didn't, but doctors would prescribe it as a morning after pill. So this is not new. And I think Texas tried to ban this. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that.
Well, they didn't say the drug could not be banned. They just said that Texas didn't have status to bring the case. So it's going to come back again. Yeah.
So that's a federal decision, not a state decision, because these are interstate trade situations. But essentially, it put the kibosh on it for the moment. I don't know if our federal government will take it up and pass or not pass. I don't think in an election year it would be a good thing to dabble in that, especially for the Republicans who are already under criticism.
Well, I understand there's other cases bubbling away through the system up to the Supreme Court dealing with the drug. So it's not over yet.
Not over yet, no. But the drug prevents, I believe that what it does is it prevents the implantation of the fertilized egg into the womb, into the interior lining of the womb, which is where the little egg nestles and kind of attaches itself and becomes a little parasite and grows from there.
Yeah, so essentially it's a chemical abortion.
Yeah, and I say, hell, give it to the oak trees. I mean, they're taking over. You know what? Oak trees, they're pretty vicious.
They are?
Yeah, they acidify all the area around them so that nothing else can grow but their babies. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah, and they're
killers.
they're very aggressive. And trees move very slowly, but they move.
They're baby killers.
They're baby killers. They don't want anybody but their own little acorns popping up out of the ground.
I had no idea.
Yeah, if you look around the areas that are not cleared and you see a big oak tree and you'll see a whole bunch of little bush-like plants underneath, those are baby oaks.
Okay. Well, the oak trees, they need a lot of room to spread out.
Yeah, and humans have spread out, so why not oak trees, right?
What we need to do right now is ask a question, give away some mugs.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Phone number here is 877-969-8600. That's 877-969-8600. And this is good for two Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. Beautiful mugs, nice and sturdy. You'll love them. And you get two if you're the first person. There it is right now. He's holding it up on Facebook. You get two. You get two if you're the first person. We just talked about this moments ago to identify which country is building a new port in the Western Hemisphere. Let's say which communist country is now building a port in the Western Hemisphere. Dum, 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 dum. We need some serious music here.
Dum, dum, dum,
bum, bum, bum.
All right, give us a number, Ken.
877-969-8600, the number to call. First person with the correct answer will win both those mugs. Anything else right now, Doc?
I want to correct you on one thing.
What's
China
that?
and Russia are not communist countries. They're fascist countries. They allow free trade, and they have one-party system and a strong man atop. That's fascism.
Fascism it is, then. Which fascist country is trying to build a port in Peru?
There you go.
All right, we'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere, folks.
We'll be right back.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Even though the median U.S. CEO pay package last year is nearly 200 times more than a worker in the middle of their company pay scales, Elon Musk's record-setting Tesla compensation dwarfs them by comparison. Tesla shareholders voted for restoring Musk's 10-year all-stock pay plan last week, valued by the company in April at about $45 billion. They had been tossed out by a Delaware judge back in January who said the process for approving it was deeply flawed. A rivalry is flaring up as Kansas lawmakers try and snatch the Super Bowl champion Chiefs away from Missouri. The Kansas legislature expects to consider a plan to help both the Chiefs and professional baseball's Royals finance new stadiums, even though economists long ago concluded that subsidizing pro sports is not ultimately worth the cost. This is SRN News.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of can care, 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical Home of Can Care Clinic offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed.
25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy, 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
Helping you get where you're trying to go. Get digital media solutions for your business. Visit surroundtampa.com. Surroundtampa.com.
We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine today with a thunderstorm this afternoon and a high of 92. Watching for a potential tropical system this week. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 77, then sun through high clouds tomorrow with a high of 92. Hot day on Tuesday with sunshine and areas of high clouds and a high of 95. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Holly Holdren for AM 860, The Answer.
Yeah, go, Doc.
And we're back. This is Dr. Bill, got Ken by my side, and we are doing a radio show and a podcast. We are on social media. We are actually, I think we are even being beamed all the way to Mars now, Ken. Elon,
Really?
Elon is setting up some relay systems for us.
All right, Doc. We have a winner.
Who we got?
George McGee. And George has won like 3 times in the past 6 months or so. George McGee of St. Petersburg. He's getting a whole collection.
He is. I don't know. Should we tell him to cool it or just let him?
Should we put a 30-day ban on winning again?
Yeah, George, give somebody else a chance for God's
Really, George, you're good. We love you. We're glad you're out there every weekend, George.
Absolutely, but are we here just for mugs, Ken? I want to know. I want people to listen to us because they like us, not because they just want a mug.
Well, they have to listen to get the mug. We always ask
That's true.
about the show. That's why I asked a question about the show. It makes them listen.
There you go. You're smarter than the average bear, and I appreciate
I've
it.
been in radio a long time.
Yes, you have.
So, George, congratulations out there in St. Pete and everybody else who tried to call. We had a lot of folks calling in this time, too. So
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I appreciate everybody trying their best. George had probably got one of those speed dials, so we'll have to send some out to other people and have a little competition to see if George can beat that.
We love you, George, but, give somebody else a chance. What else are we talking about today, Doc?
Well, I wanted to mention Jerry West. Now, a lot of people won't remember who he is. He was a college all-star basketball, and also he played in the NBA for a decade or two and still holds a lot of records. He was an amazing guy, and he came, I think, from West Virginia. He was a severely abused kid, but he was tall and he was talented, and he swore to make his life better and escape the abuse and neglect he came from. Now, he had a lifelong depression, which is understandable, but he finally died. I think he was it the Lakers? Who was he the head of?
Yeah, he was with the Lakers for a long time.
He was with the Lakers organization, and he was not only a great basketball player, but he was a great businessman and front office manager, and he did a lot of good for that team.
And you have seen him, whether you know or not, because he's the silhouette on the NBA logo is based on him.
Yes, he is, and I think he is the face of the NBA. I think he's the official, whatever you want to call it.
Ambassador,
yeah.
Well, good. He had a great career, and sorry to see him go, but glad he was with us.
Yeah, he did a lot of good, and he gives hope to a lot of us who have had rough childhoods. We can still come out of it and make it. We can do it. It's not easy, but it's better now that we have the antidepressants that we have that you can take and help you get through some of these rough emotional spots. But a lot of people, they deal with their depression by staying busy and working.
That's a good way to do it. Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that, although using medication and staying busy and working is even better. And I can tell you that from personal experience.
But yeah, you don't want to get off work, go home, and just be depressed until you go back to work.
No, and you want to feel like you're of value, even if, and that's a struggle when you have depression. Is do I have that worth? Am I of any value to anybody or anything? And I look at my life objectively and say, dang, I've done a lot for people and for the community and for humanity, and and, I've participated in a lot of positive things, but at night when I'm tired and weak, I ask myself, am I of any value to anybody? Why am I on the planet? So I think there's something and by the way, that's when the antidepressant starts to wear off because I take it at night.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Well,
after
trust me, Doc, you are a big value to the community.
and I try to remind myself of that and make myself keep going.
Your patients love you, and they would be just crippled without you.
They better be, or I'll beat the crap out of them.
That's what we love about you.
And when I say if you don't do what I tell you, I'm gonna come home and whoop your, what? Yeah, they just love it. They love it, especially the women. I don't know why.
No, we love you, Doc, and you got a lot of patients out there you've kept alive for a long time. You've done plenty of good. I know you're not a religious man.
I am spiritual.
You're an agnostic. You don't know what to believe, really. Right?
Well, I know that the universe is infinite. I know that Higgs boson particles are at least as far as we can tell at this time, are the basis of all energy and matter in the universe. And I know that electromagnetic energy is forever in the present, and that it is all knowing. It carries everything with it. It's omnipresent. It's everywhere. And if you tap into it in the right way, it's omniscient, and it's omnipotent. It brings life and death. So if you want to be a pantheist about it, God is basic elemental particles.
There you go.
God is light.
So, do you believe in the Big Bang Theory? Not the TV show. The
Big Bang Theory. I still can't hear it. I've been trying to hear the echoes of it, but apparently they can hear that at the Large Hadron Collider over there in France and Switzerland. They're studying these subatomic particles, and they're the ones who actually proved indirectly the existence of the Higgs boson particles, which make up all of the other subatomic particles like quarks and ions and mesons and electrons and positrons and all that.
There's so much about the universe we probably don't understand yet. But it does seem to me that it's designed by intelligence. It really does. And whose intelligence? Well, for time being, it's God, in my opinion, anyway.
Well, and I think that that's a good thing. It gives people something to hold on to when they can't understand, and it also makes it easier to implement a system of values and morals into the equation. Although I think there are probably some that are pre-existing, much like physical laws. Whether there's matter or no matter in the universe, there is the law of gravity, and that exists. Now, maybe you'd say, well, that's God. God is the embodiment of all of the abstract laws that are a priori or before us, before that certain entity exists, before there was a universe, before the Big Bang, we still had laws. We still had physical laws. We probably also had moral laws that were inherent to the universe. But we don't know because we haven't been too far away from our own planet yet, Ken.
That's right. Nobody there to tell us. So,
we haven't had anything to compare it to.
See, I have no problem with God snapping his fingers and we have the Big Bang. I think and everything else forms from that. And God knew it would because he's all omniscient. Why would he sit there and say, well, I'm going to create a platypus now? First of all, it's a funny looking animal, but maybe he was trying to entertain himself that day. So who knows? But he didn't have to because he's all omniscient. He knew if he snapped his fingers and we have the Big Bang, this would form.
No, I disagree with that. I think that he has to obey the same physical laws that we do, and that Einstein proved that you cannot know or travel to the future. And I think that, at least in my conversations with God, he said, Bill, I just started the whole thing, and I'm just as curious as you guys are as to how it's going to turn out.
He just wanted to see what happened. Huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, why not? He's got, eternity. Why not fill it with some surprises?
Well, plus, he's the kind of guy that says, hey, it'd be fun to see some other beings and planets and things flying around. And it's of intellectual interest to him, I think, or her, depending on whether you're a feminist.
Good point. I never considered that. Maybe he wanted to see something else. So we're here,
Yep. So. There you go. So at any rate, talking how we get on Jerry
I'm
West?
not sure how we got there. We left Jerry West, who ended up at the Big Bang.
Yeah, well,
It's
you
kind of
know,
like
Jerry was sort of a big bang in basketball.
he was. Yes, absolutely. Brought it home. Thank you, Doc.
And speaking of big bangs in sports, O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown Simpson, you know who they are. You know, O.J. died recently, and the FBI released a couple, 300 pages of their investigation into the murder of Nicole and her friend. And you know, they had a lot of irrefutable evidence, like the footprints were a brand of shoes that were made in Italy, and there had only been 300 pairs sold in the United States, and OJ had been seen in pictures wearing those shoes before, and we know that the gloves had shrunk with the drying of the blood on them, so of course he couldn't get his hand in it. And I mean, there was a lot of evidence to show that he actually committed these murders, but just because you're found not guilty doesn't mean you didn't do it. You know?
Well, that's what he found out in the civil case.
Yeah, and also he thought that he could get away with more than that. And remember, he went to prison in Nevada for armed robbery because he wanted some of his memorabilia back that he thought had been stolen from him. And I think that's illegal. I think you're supposed to call the police and let them.
You should go through the courts for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to let the system handle that. Now, bump stocks, that's a different story. Now you can go out and get one. You don't have to go through the system anymore.
Well, I wasn't too worried about it. So.
You mean you didn't get one, Ken?
No, I don't have a rifle. Sorry.
I got an extra one if you need it.
Now, the wife doesn't want a rifle now.
She doesn't want.
I think I'll shoot myself.
She said no rifles.
Right.
Oh, she's finally figured out you're too chicken to shoot her, but you'll take yourself out.
No, just accidentally. I'm just clumsy. That's all.
Oh,
I'm just clumsy. I'll just
You're
drop it
killing
and
me.
take my head off with it, you know.
Speaking of clumsy, did you hear about this airplane that went into a Dutch roll? It was a Boeing 737 MAX, and this is I think it was near Honolulu. I think it was.
It rolled.
It went into what's called a Dutch roll at 38,000 feet. And so the FAA is looking into this because this is a dangerous lateral asymmetric movement supposedly inspired by the movement of ice skaters. So they looked at ice skaters and looked at the double Dutch they do and said, well, you know, that's the way these planes are going. So we'll just call it a double Dutch. And I think the double Dutch is when they lock arms and spin each other around, but I can't remember. But at any rate, this is supposed to be a fairly serious incident. And I guess the pilots did get control back. And so they're looking once again at Boeing and their 737. They've had a lot of problems with this plane.
Boeing has a lot of problems, period.
Why?
Not just this plane. Ever since they've been purchased by, I think, McDonnell Douglas, there have been complaints coming out of Boeing from people who've been there for 30 years that safety is being compromised for profit. And they're leaving the country in droves because of it. They're leaving the company in droves because of it. So there've been
That's not good.
There have been congressional hearings. I mean, they had the panel, you know, just come off of one a few months ago. This is not good for Boeing.
No, and especially when their competition is Airbus, which is a consortium of France, Great Britain, and Germany. I think France and Germany are the big players there. But and the competition is good, but I can remember when the Airbuses, the European Airbuses, they weren't that great of a plane. I wasn't impressed the first time I got on one. They've gotten better.
And they don't fly upside down at 35,000 feet. So Boeing's got a real problem.
Yes, they do. And we hope they work it out because they're integral to our economy here.
Oh, absolutely. And our safety.
And getting from one place to another.
Yeah. But apparently there's a whole Netflix thing on it if you want to watch it.
No, I don't.
Okay, then.
I'd rather report it and move on to something else, something bigger, a bigger event than the Boeing plane rolling over. And that's January 6th. So Nancy Pelosi, she says she's responsible for not calling out the National Guard in time. So now she's taking some responsibility for it. And apparently a lot of people had backed away from Trump after January 6th because they thought that he inspired it. Or if they didn't think that he inspired it, they thought it would be bad for business. So a lot of these corporate moguls had backed away from Trump. But now that they see he's probably going to be our next president, they're all trying to get back to the table and talk to him because, of course, they don't want high tariffs and they don't want to have to give up their manufacturing in China because it's so much cheaper.
Well,
they make big money.
Yeah, I just wish we'd get these people back here making some stuff. I really do. I would love to see manufacturing come back to this country, but it's just never going to happen, is it? It's just a dream.
Well, you never know. I mean, things can turn around, and I don't think we have. I think that we've lost a lot of manufacturing, but we've also added a lot of manufacturing. So we don't talk about the gigantic increase in computer chip manufacturing that goes on in this country. We're one of the biggest chip makers in the world. And, technology, high-tech stuff we're more into than low-tech. And we still have a pretty good auto industry, but we would like to see some equity in the system so that we are not left behind the Chinese or anybody else who can make a cheaper car because their labor is so much cheaper and they're getting goods from countries that have cheap labor and so on and so forth.
Well, I just worry about the day when China says no more goods for you. And they just cut you off completely. Then what do you do?
They're not going to do that because they're so dependent upon us to support their economy. And even though we have been saying, well, we're going to start buying from Vietnam and Indonesia and Bangladesh and all that, well, guess where they get their raw materials, their pre-made stuff. So you may get a thumb drive from Vietnam, but the basic circuit board was made in China. So I mean they're picking up indirect business, and although their economy has suffered after the pandemic, they're coming back nicely now. They're even
too much power concentrated in one place. I don't like it.
No, and that's the argument I say about socialized medicine. You're giving a small group of people a great deal of power to decide what you can and cannot do with your money and your health and your body. And that's
not right. That's just not right. It should be a doctor and a patient. That's it.
Well, I mean, you have to have some checks and balances, and of course we do in medicine, but we've also had to have things forced on us by the federal government and the Joint Commission on the Accreditation of Hospitals, JCAHO, in clinics. And so the way that works, Ken, I don't know how I diverged into this, but you'd find this interesting. So JCAHO, they are contracted by the federal government to oversee and approve hospitals and outpatient clinics that fall under their domain. And so what they do is they go into the hospital and they say, well, you have to have this and this and this, or you can't call yourself a stroke center, let's say, or you have to have this, this, and this if you're going to call yourself an orthopedic center and do orthopedic surgery. And it's not just equipment and training and materials, it's things like patient satisfaction and what kind of food you're serving, and do you have sexual harassment in the job place? Is it a hostile environment to work? And all these things, they actually keep statistics on this. And not only that, the medical staff bylaws, if you don't have certain things in your bylaws, JCAHO can come in and say, hey, either change your bylaws or we're not going to give you the seal of approval. And if you lose that seal of approval, guess what you also lose?
You're not a stroke center anymore.
You don't get paid by Medicare and Medicaid, and that's a big part of the income of the hospitals.
Well, then, yeah, you're pretty much stuck, aren't you?
So we do have regulations in the healthcare industry, although some of it has been forced on us, and some of it's just the advancement in technology. So we've gone from heavy inpatient care to much more outpatient care. And remember, if you had a heart attack in 1960, there wasn't much they could do for you, give you some aspirin and control your blood pressure with some of the old-timey medications, which were pretty brutal. And you were an invalid. Most likely you would be found to be an invalid, and you'd be handicapped, and you'd have to go on disability, and you didn't work, and you probably paid $1,000 or $2,000 in hospital bills. Now you're going to pay 100 times that, or 10 times, or 20 times that, and you go in the hospital, and you were in the hospital for 2 weeks, and you go in the hospital now with an acute heart attack, they put a stent in you, you go home the next day.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I mean, it's just, but I don't think that, I mean, I thought that we would have this kind of technology, but not in my lifetime. And it's getting even better. And so the technology is changing the way not only medicine practices and functions, but also computers and technology and industry and manufacturing. And you see things like robots coming into factories and taking over. And of course, everybody's like, that robot's going to take my job. There'll be another job. Don't worry.
Doc, we got about 3 minutes left. What do you want to talk about next? Anything you got going on that you want to talk about?
We already talked about the misoprostone, right?
Yes, we did. Yes, we covered that.
Did you hear about the mother of one of the Israeli hostages that was released, and the strange things that they put the Hamas put the Israelis through? Like they weren't allowed to look at certain things. I mean, they're underground in a tunnel and they're not allowed to look at something to the left, but it's okay to look right. And of course, they berated them and said they were animals, and
of course, yeah, just plain
did all that. You're an animal. You're a donkey. You're a fool. You're dirty. I thought the Israelis were pretty clean myself, but I don't know. Anyway,
at least they got some more out. I don't know how many left are down there, but they got to keep going. They can't stop. I'm sorry.
No, they can't. And now we've got this this new organization here in the States that's pushing pro-Israel and fighting anti-Semitism, and these are good things. They're putting up billboards, and they need some more money. I forget the name of it. I'll bring it back to you next week. But it's important to fight anti-Semitism, not only because I think morally it's correct, but also because I'm Jewish and I want to get killed. I want to live. I want to live, Dr. Bill. I want to live. Too bad. Too late. All right.
Really. Yeah, Doc, you got to give your phone number here a couple of times. We got about a minute left now.
All right. And I am Dr. Bill, your radio MD. I'm also your hometown physician. We practice cardiology, internal medicine. We do a little minor surgery in the office. We have ultrasound. We have echocardiograms. We do nuclear stress tests. Hey, we do it all, Ken. And we are at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. And if you live too far away, and by the way, we had people come all the way from Orlando to see us.
Really? No kidding.
No kidding. And we have people come from all over the area here.
That's great.
Orlando.
My goodness.
Yeah, we have a Korean couple that travels an hour to see us because Myungju speaks Korean.
Yeah, I didn't know you were that popular.
We are very popular, Ken, and I'm so proud of it. I want to give you my phone number, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. I am Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Ken?
Yeah, we're still here. We got about 50 seconds left.
We got 50 seconds. You told me that 50
I know.
seconds ago. You liar.
Sorry. I looked at the wrong clock.
Okay, so all these retirement plans were putting their money into these private equity funds, and private equity are company or big funds that buy companies that are not on the stock market, and they either take them apart and sell them for a profit, or pump them up and get them up to snuff and then make money on them. So, but guess what? All this is starting to dry up because they only do well when there's low inflation rates.
And we'll talk about that next week.
We will. All right. I'm Dr. Bill.